In the heart of Georgia, where the dogwood blooms signal the arrival of spring, there exists a piece of hallowed ground unlike any other in sport. It is a testament to timelessness, a refusal to bend to the fleeting trends of the modern age. We speak, of course, of Augusta National. For 1 week each April, the entire world is granted a meticulously curated glimpse into this domain. But the true essence of this place, the profound, almost monastic silence that governs it, remains hidden just beyond the manicured ropes. Consider this. In a world saturated by instant communication, where every breath, every misstep, every moment of triumph is immediately captured, analyzed, and broadcast, where is the last bastion of true, enforced stillness? The answer lies within the gates of this exclusive club. To step onto the grounds of Augusta is to willingly surrender the tether to the outside world. It is to enter an isolated sanctuary, where the air is thick not only with the scent of azaleas, but with the weight of tradition. The Masters Tournament is a spectacle, yes, but the club itself is a monument to absolute privacy. This commitment to the past is upheld by a code of conduct that demands above all else reverence. The patrons, never referred to as fans, are asked to observe an elite etiquette. They are required to move with a quiet respect befitting a cathedral. But the most striking aspect of this enforced isolation is the strict and uncompromising technology ban. Imagine attending the world's most prestigious golf tournament and being forced to leave your cell phone, your camera, your portal to the digital age locked away. This is not accidental oversight. It is fundamental philosophy. It ensures that the only record of the day is etched into your own memory. It demands presence. It insists that you watch the ball, not the screen. In an era defined by documentation, Augusta National stands firm, demanding that the game, the swing, the flight, the roll, be the only priority. This deliberate disconnection is the key to its aura, the secret ingredient that preserves the purity of the contest and the sanctity of the grounds. We often mistake rules for restrictions, but perhaps here they are the key to preservation. What rules of decorum do you believe are essential to maintaining the integrity of the gentleman's game? Share your thoughts below. We often speak of the four majors as the pillars of the game, yet only one is entirely wrapped in the silk of southern gentility, draped in the deep verdant mystique of tradition, Augusta National. It is not merely a golf course, it is a meticulously preserved museum where the slightest deviation from the established code is not just frowned upon, it is, quite simply, an impossibility. The goal here, set forth by the foundational vision of Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts, was never merely to stage a tournament, but to orchestrate an experience that feels, quite deliberately, like stepping back into a more refined era. The moment one passes through the gates onto Washington Road, the world outside ceases to exist. The air shifts. The familiar roar of the modern sporting crowd is replaced by a hushed, almost cathedral-like reverence. This atmosphere is not accidental. It is the product of an ironclad code of conduct, enforced with the quiet efficacy of a seasoned caddy reading a subtle break. Consider first the patrons. They are never referred to as fans. They are the temporary guardians of the decorum, held to a standard of behavior unseen in any other major sporting event. There is no running, there is no shouting, save for the controlled, respectful applause reserved for a perfectly struck iron shot or a dramatic curling putt. Even the way one addresses a player is subtly monitored, maintaining a respectful distance between the drama unfolding on the turf and the witnesses observing from the gallery ropes. But perhaps the most famous and certainly the most effective mechanism for maintaining this sanctuary is the outright ban on technology. In an age dominated by instant connectivity, the Masters stands as a defiant time capsule. Cellular phones, cameras, and any device capable of transmitting real-time data are strictly forbidden inside the ropes. The effect of this technological austerity is profound. When tens of thousands of people are forced to disconnect from the digital world, they are, in turn, tethered entirely to the drama unfolding before them. They must look up. They must listen. They must rely on the analog, hand-operated scoreboards, which themselves are monuments of tradition. This forced presence elevates the communal experience and ensures that the focus remains solely on the architecture of the course and the pursuit of the green jacket. The dress code, too, speaks volumes. While tailored elegance is expected of the players, the patrons must adhere to a sensibility that favors classic, understated attire. The visual clutter, the garish logos, the aggressive sponsorship banners that dominate other sporting venues, is almost entirely absent here. This isn't just aesthetic preference, it's commercial restraint, ensuring that the visual landscape is dominated by the vibrant colors of the azaleas and the pristine white of the bunkers, rather than the clamor of the marketplace. And there's one more detail that you wouldn't imagine, a subtle stroke of genius that reinforces the exclusivity, the commercial operation itself. The Masters merchandise, the coveted gear adorned with the iconic logo, can only be purchased on site during the week of the tournament. There is no online storefront, no global shipping, no year-round catalog. It is a tangible keepsake of a pilgrimage, ensuring that the experience cannot be fully commoditized or duplicated outside the club's strict boundaries. The exclusivity is the currency. The memory is the true acquisition. What this culture of profound, almost military restraint ultimately achieves is the elevation of the game itself. The lack of commercial intrusion, the absence of distracting digital noise, the respectful distance maintained by the patrons, all of it funnels attention directly onto the challenge of the championship. It is the purest expression of the gentleman's game, demanding that the spectacle remains pristine, untainted by the hurried anxiety of the modern world. It is the price of admission to the most exclusive club in golf, and the reason why a week in early April feels less like a tournament and more like a sacred gathering. For those who understand the delicate balance between progress and preservation, Augusta National remains the ultimate arbiter of tradition. For more histories that molded the very soul of this graceful sport, consider subscribing to our journey. We shall see you on the next tee. In the quiet corners of the sporting world, where legend is forged not by noise but by silence, stands Augusta National. It is more than a major championship. It is a meticulously guarded cathedral of the game, shrouded in Georgia pines and enforced by a code of conduct as sacred as the green jacket itself. To understand the Masters is to understand the profound dedication to preservation. The objective here is not merely to host a golf tournament, but to construct a deliberate, isolated bubble where the pressures of the modern world are gently yet firmly excluded. This is the ultimate sanctuary for the gentleman's game. Step through the famed gates and you step back in time. The most immediate, perhaps startling observation for the modern spectator, or patron as they are reverently called, is the absolute absence of the glowing screen. No mobile telephones, no cameras, no devices of digital distraction are permitted inside these hallowed grounds. This is not arbitrary. It is deeply philosophical. Augusta insists that the spectator experience remain pure, unfiltered by the lens of a smartphone, demanding instead that one witnesses the history unfolding with their own eyes. This enforced technological silence serves a crucial, almost scientific purpose, lending credence to the legendary Masters roar. When the gallery is stripped of the habit of instant digital communication, the collective gasp, the sudden volcanic cheer that erupts from Amen Corner or the 18th green becomes amplified. It travels across the perfectly manicured landscape, unimpeded, a true organic sound that defines the Sunday back nine. It is a sensory gift denied to almost every other major sporting event today, where the clamor of the crowd is often muffled by the static of thousands of live streams and text messages. The decorum extends far beyond simply silencing technology. Patrons are strictly forbidden from running, a rule maintained not just for safety, but to ensure the atmosphere remains measured, reflective, and respectful of the players. The concession prices, too, are famously frozen in time, a gesture suggesting that the pursuit of profit must never overshadow the dignity and accessibility of the shared experience. A pimento cheese sandwich and an iced tea remain priced as if it were 1986, honoring the tradition established by the club's founders, Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts. Yet the deepest layer of tradition lies in the very nature of attendance. Unlike most championships, the Masters relies on a strictly controlled system of patron badges, inherited or rarely offered to the public, ensuring that the gallery itself is curated. These are not just tickets, they are invitations to share in a privileged experience. The few who acquire them understand implicitly that they are custodians of the atmosphere, bound by an unwritten code of quiet reverence. And there is one more detail you might not imagine about the inner workings of this private sanctuary: the extreme measures taken to control the visual narrative. Even the media is subject to rules that defy modern journalism. When a camera is used, the photographer cannot kneel or lie down to get a better angle. They must remain standing. This is not about comfort. It is about maintaining the sightlines and the immaculate presentation of the course. ensuring that the visual story of Augusta is always one of effortless, pristine elegance. This relentless dedication to the past, the adherence to dress codes, the refusal to chase modern trends, the almost monastic isolation from the digital fray, is the key to Augusta's enduring magic. It protects the integrity of the course, ensuring that every champion, from the Golden Bear Jack Nicklaus to the newest young star, competes on a stage that feels eternally the same. It is a gentle but firm reminder that some things, especially in this gentleman's game, are simply too important to modernize. The silence speaks volumes, and the tradition guarantees that the theater of the masters remains uniquely timeless. For more stories that shape this incomparable sport, consider taking the time to join us again. We'll see you at the next tee. The calendar turns to April, and the golf world holds its breath. There is no other venue quite like Augusta National. It is not merely a golf club, it is a repository of history, a cathedral built upon the purest ideals of the gentleman's game. When the gates open and the azaleas burst into color, the world is granted a fleeting glimpse into a sanctuary defined not by its stunning beauty, but by its uncompromising adherence to tradition. To step onto these hallowed grounds is to enter a realm deliberately isolated from the modern clamor. The code of conduct here is less a set of guidelines and more a sacred covenant. In an era dominated by instant communication and digital presence, Augusta remains staunchly analog. The prohibition of mobile phones and cameras is perhaps the most famous and certainly the most effective mechanism for preserving its unique atmosphere. The result is a profound, almost spiritual quietude. Patrons, and they are always referred to as patrons, never fans, are encouraged to absorb the moment, not record it. The club understands, perhaps better than any other institution in sport, that the collective memory of an experience is often more valuable than the fleeting digital capture of it. The silence, broken only by the crisp strike of an iron or the gentle applause echoing through the towering pines, is the essential soundtrack of the Masters. This reverence extends even to the smallest details of attire and language. The dress code is rigorously enforced, reflecting the standards set by co-founder Bobby Jones himself. T-shirts and backward caps are absent. A certain sense of decorum is expected, a visual respect for the stage. Furthermore, the club insists on its own terminology, a linguistic shield against common vernacular. They play the first nine and the second nine, never the front and back. The spectators are patrons, the workers are staff. The holes are named after the specific foliage, a poetic tribute to the landscape they inhabit. But the commitment to timelessness runs deeper than just appearance and protocol. It permeates the very mechanisms of commerce within the grounds. While the world outside operates on digital currency and instantaneous transactions, Augusta maintains an almost radical commitment to simplicity. And here is a detail perhaps unimaginable in today's high-tech stadium environment. All transactions, including those for the coveted merchandise, the hats, the flags, the legendary pimento cheese sandwiches, are strictly cash or check. There is no tap to pay, no digital wallet, no cryptocurrency acceptance. This is a deliberate friction, a conscious slowing of the clock, ensuring that the focus remains on the competitive theater, not the consumer convenience. It is a quiet, elegant defiance of the pace of the 21st century. This meticulous control is the very engine that drives the Masters' mystique. Everything is curated, from the impeccable conditioning of the course, where every blade of grass seems individually polished, to the positioning of every concession stand. There are no garish corporate advertisements cluttering the landscape. The only visible branding is the Masters logo itself, a quiet assertion of self-sufficiency. The club generates its own energy, controls its own narrative, and dictates its own pace. This isolation, this insistence on conducting affairs on their own terms, ensures that when the champions gather for the Tuesday dinner, or when a young professional strides toward the 12th tee at Amon Corner, they are participating in something truly set apart. They are not merely playing golf, they are enacting a cherished ritual. Why this stringent adherence? Because the Masters is more than a tournament. It is a guardianship of the game's soul. The rules are the mortar that holds the tradition together. They ensure that the experience for the players and the patrons is elevated, stripped of the commercial noise that often suffocates modern sporting events. It is a quiet homage to the founders, reminding every visitor that they are guests in a private, deeply respected domain. The green jacket is a symbol of achievement, earned through skill and nerve. But the quiet dignity of Augusta, enforced by its unseen rules, is the true legacy of the Masters. It reminds us that in this gentleman's game, sometimes the greatest challenge is simply maintaining the silence. For more stories that molded this sport, from the ancient links of Scotland to the manicured fairways of Georgia, consider subscribing to the Chronicle. We shall see you on the next tee. The Masters. It is perhaps the most exclusive invitation in all of sport, not merely an entry into a tournament, but a passage into a living museum, a sanctuary carved out of the Georgia pines where the calendar seems to halt somewhere around 1955. Augusta National is defined as much by what it prohibits as by what it presents. It is a philosophy steeped in the vision of its founders, Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts, who understood that true greatness requires controlled isolation. They sought to preserve a timeless experience, immune to the fleeting whims of modernity. The moment a patron steps onto the hallowed grounds, they enter a meticulously curated environment. The most striking absence is the ubiquitous hum of the digital age. There are no cell phones allowed, no cameras, save for the limited practice rounds. This is not an oversight. It is a declaration. The club insists that the experience, the visual majesty of the azaleas and the sweeping elevation changes, must be absorbed directly, stored only in the memory of the beholder. When the Golden Bear made his charge in '86, there were no instantly transmitted images, no live social media commentary, only the roar carried by the wind through the trees, a primal, untainted sound. This deliberate technological void enforces a profound level of decorum. Without screens to hide behind, patrons are compelled to engage with the game, with the course, and crucially, with each other. The atmosphere is one of hushed anticipation, not raucous spectacle. The staff, always impeccably composed, refer to the attendees not as fans but as patrons, a subtle linguistic shift that elevates the spectator from consumer to respectful observer. Consider the simple code of dress. While other major championships might tolerate casual attire, Augusta maintains a strict adherence to traditional golf wear, slacks, proper shirts, and comfortable yet restrained footwear. This is not about enforcing elitism, but about maintaining the visual integrity of the event. Every detail, down to the collapsible green chairs that are often left unattended and respected, speaks to a shared understanding of stewardship. The maintenance of this environment extends even to the commentary itself. The announcers on the broadcast often speak with a reverence and hushed tone not heard elsewhere. They are narrating, not shouting. The goal is to draw the viewer into the serenity, not to disturb it. This commitment to the past, this steadfast refusal to chase contemporary trends, is the bedrock of Augusta's enduring mystique. When a champion receives the green jacket, it is more than just a garment. It is a uniform signifying entry into the most exclusive fraternity in sport, a brotherhood bound by the unwritten laws of tradition. The jacket is a physical reminder that they are now custodians of a legacy, expected to uphold the same dignified conduct that defined Jones's original vision. They carry that responsibility, not just for a year, but for a lifetime. And in a world that moves faster every day, Augusta remains a quiet, powerful testament to the value of slowing down, looking up, and respecting the sacred silence of the game. For more stories that capture the quiet drama and profound traditions of the gentleman's game, please consider subscribing and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you at the next tee.